Okej, nu ser det ut så att det har stabiliserat sig. Välkomna alla deltagare. Det här webbinariet som ni ska delta i handlar då om de flerspråkiga AI-baserade tjänster som utvecklats vid kommissionens generaldirektorat för översättning. De bygger alltså vidare på maskinöversättningsverktyg som vi har tagit fram internt för våra översättare. Vi har ju liksom utnyttjat vår stora databas av EU-texter på 24 officiella EU-språk från samtliga EU-institutioner. Och de finns i vår stora databas eRemiss som vi har använt, men vi har även då utnyttjat texter med öppen källkod från andra håll, vilket innebär att tjänsterna också omfattar andra språk än de officiella EU-språken. En kort introduktion då, jag heter Johan Martelius och arbetar som språklig handläggare här vid EU-kommissionens representation i Sverige. Och jag har tidigare under ett antal år varit översättare vid Europaparlamentets svenska översättningsenhet i Luxemburg. Så nu i Stockholm arbetar jag med olika språkfrågor och bland annat den här typen av kommunikationsevenemang. Med mig har jag också en assistent här från representationen, Oda, som kommer hjälpa till lite med det tekniska och kommer lite och kan hålla koll på era frågor och annat som kan dyka upp. Vår huvudsakliga talare idag är min kollega Kristiina som arbetar på det som heter AI Advisory, som är under ett tekniskt direktorat vid mitt generaldirektorat för översättning. Och hon kommer att berätta mer i detalj om de här olika verktygen som vi har. Och vi kommer att ha en möjlighet att ställa frågor på slutet. Märker man att man inte riktigt hänger med så går det att räcka upp handen. Men tanken är att de frågor som kan behöva liksom ett mer utförligt svar tar vi i efterhand. Och då kan man skriva det i det som heter Q&A som ni hittar nere på nedre delen av skärmen. Kan ni skriva frågor där så kommer vi att se dem så ni kan skriva dem i takt som ni kommer på dem. Översättarna vid EUs institutioner har ju då som uppgift att upprätthålla EUs flerspråkiga status och det är ju en rättslig skyldighet som har ålagt oss ända sedan kol- och stålgemenskapens dagar och den fastställs även i den första förordning som antogs så snart Europeiska ekonomiska gemenskapen inrättades efter då att man undertecknat Romfördraget 1957. Så förordning 158 fastställer att unionens officiella texter ska avfattas på de officiella språken och de har ju bara blivit fler med åren och nu är de så många som 24 olika språk. Inom ramen då för det här programmet Digitala Europa som jag nämnde i inbjudan så har vi byggt vidare på det här åtagandet med flerspråkighet som vi har och vill för att det ska vara möjligt att utnyttja detta även utanför EU-institutionerna. Och därför så delar vi då med oss av ett antal av våra internt framtagna verktyg. Och inom ramen för detta så utvecklar vi även fortlöpande ytterligare tjänster som vi delar med oss av till andra aktörer såsom myndigheter och universitet. Så det är som sagt ett webbinarium som är indelat i några olika faser. Vi börjar med en längre presentation, sen så kommer jag demonstrera lite hur man kan använda de här tjänsterna och slutligen så har vi då en frågestund där vi samlar alla frågor som har uppstått under tiden som vi hittills har varit. Now I will switch to English and I would like to hand the word over to my colleague Kristiina who will do her presentation for you in English. And so welcome Kristiina and thank you for joining us.
Yes, hello, and hey, from my side as well. I will quickly share my screen, and then we are ready to start. And yep. So hopefully now you see my screen and not much else on the slides. Please let me know if something is not as it's supposed to be, but I think it should be okay. So yes, hello from my side. Good morning, good morning. My name is Kristiina, and as was said, I work in the European Commission in, of course, DG Translation. But more specifically, we have a unit which is called AI-based services. And even more specifically, I work in the AI-based services advisory, which means that part of our job is to do what I'm doing here today. So introducing all the services we offer in the member states as well, as to colleagues and other EU staff, but also we are here for you for your questions and potential blocking issues. So in the end, I will show you email address where you can always write to us. If you have any questions, if something here today was not clear, I know that there is going to be a lot of information from me. If it's too fast, for example, you can always afterwards get in touch with us, and we will be happy to explain it or answer your additional questions if you have them. But you will have a opportunity for questions today as well. So without further ado, I think we can get started. So if you are interested in our services, and hopefully you are by now, this is the main page where you should go to find all of the AI-based services, machine translation, but as you can see here on the slide, we have a lot of other services as well. You can find them all here. This page also has information about the registration, who can access. We have a section for more technical users, and also already here on the page, right here, you already see our email address, which means that if you have any questions, any issues, you're always very welcome to get in touch with us. Yeah, and this is the link to access all the services. And on the right-hand side, you will see that, as I mentioned, all of our services are, of course, open to the Commission, other EU institutions, but you can see that a large amount of eligible groups in the member states are also very welcome to use the services. So public administrations, academia, SMEs, NGOs, EPSO candidates, and Digital Europe projects. So Digital Europe program is a program that finances us. So whenever somebody is doing a project with them as well, they are, of course, eligible to use our services as well. And this Digital Europe program is the reason we can offer all the services you will hear about today for free also in the member states. Yep. So for you as an external user, there is a need to register. And just to clarify a little bit, because we get this question a lot in the mailbox that you have for questions, it consists of 2 steps. So this is the page where you should go. You will find the link on the previous page that I showed you, the AI-based services hub, as we call it. And it consists of 2 steps. First, you need to have an EU login. And you can see here that on the registration page, you have a link here. The obstacle or the blocking thing for some people seems to be that they go to the EU login page, they complete their registration there, and they forget to come back. But actually, this second step is important to come back to this page and enter your email address that you have now the EU login for. Enter it here, choose the category. For you, for example, it would be public administration, but it can be SME and all the other categories that I explained in the previous slide. You can certify that you belong to the category and complete your registration and start translating, but also start using all the other services mentioned. But of course, if you run into any issues or it's still a bit not clear, again, you can send us an email and we will help you further. Another very important thing I wanted to mention before we go into the services and we start introducing them is that they are very secure and private by design and by default. And for your work-related matters, we very, very much recommend using these services because with those services that you will hear about today and see here today, you can be sure that we at the European Commission, we are not accessing your data. We are not monitoring it. Of course, we don't keep it, we don't store it. Of course, we don't share it, and we are not reusing it. So you can be sure that whenever you're using any of the services, for example, you are translating something, we are not using your documents to train the models or looking at them or sending them somewhere, which is not always the case if you, for example, would use Google Translate or any other third-party tools. Also, ChatGPT is very popular, but you cannot be sure that your data is safe for them. But with us, of course, you can. Of course, everything happens very exclusively in the EU zone. All of our servers are in Europe, and actually one of them is in Stockholm. So you can be very sure that your data is quite close to you and not in America or China or anywhere else. Of course, everything is encrypted. We have exclusive control over the encryption keys, and we are complying with the rules for sensitive non-classified data, which means this is a Commission, let's say, security or classification terminology, but if you have something similar in your member states, in Sweden, for example, it means that the data can be sensitive. It can have names, dates, places, this kind of information. So everything like this can be used in our tools. So you can translate them, you can create briefings, and so on and so forth, because we have cleared all the security, necessary security for this. But you should not use our services, and we are not using them either, for classified, top secret, restricted information. So anything very secret, we do not recommend using this with our tools or services, because since it is online, there is always a very slim chance of something happening, and these kinds of documents need to be extra safe. And as I mentioned, EU staff, we have automatic access with our EU login, but for you, you would have to create the EU login and then, of course, register, as I mentioned in the last page. But you can be sure, and this also adds to the security, that it's very safe. And if you have work-related matters, we invite you to use our services and not use the third-party ones, mainly because of security. But I will explain some other advantages in the coming slides. Another thing I wanted to clarify before we start introducing the services is that we are offering in DG Translation task-specific automated services. This means that these are not chatbots. You cannot interact with AI. We have done all the work for the client, for the customer, for the user, meaning that, as you can see on the left hand side here, you as a user would input some documents in the user interface, and we will see them in a short while. You will click submit, and then whatever you inputted will go to the AI model, depending on the service that you chose, whether it's translation or is it a briefing, maybe the summary, and so on. The AI does its job and brings you back your document, but you cannot, let's say, prompt it or interact with it or modify it in any way. But on the background, of course, everything is happening, but you just cannot see it. And the prompts, for example, for LLM-based services like eBriefing, eSummary, eReply, and some others, we have created the prompts for you, and I will explain that in a little while as well. And then, of course, you have the general purpose chatbots where you can give AI one instruction, come back, modify it, specify, adjust it, and so on and so forth. But this is something that we have done. We have set our services up to be task-specific and automated, and we sometimes even call them one-click services. So you don't need to worry about being able to prompt the model. And it's very good for repetitive tasks. So if you want the briefing over and over and over again, normally the prompt would be the same, more or less. So that's why we have set it up like this. But you will see in a short while how this works. And just as another piece of information, you should know that all of our services are available via user interface. So this is the website I showed you, and we will show all of the services separately as well. But if you are a more technical user, or you have those kinds of people in your institution or unit or whatever, you should know that all of the services are available via an API connection. So this means machine-to-machine connection, meaning that you can actually integrate them to your interfaces, intranets, existing systems, and so on. For example, we have done this in the Commission, and I will explain this when I talk about eBriefing, just for you to know that these are available, and there is some information about it on the hub, and I will show later on where to find it if you're interested. And this is what the API registration page looks like. So for eTranslation, you can ask for the API connection credentials automatically on the website. For other services, you would have to send us an email and we will give them to you. But yeah, this is for more advanced users, let's say. But if you are interested, you can definitely do that. And yeah, I think this is it for the introductions, the main or general info about all the services. And now I will introduce to you eTranslation, and I will also explain a little bit why do I always start with eTranslation, and why is let's say the translation department in the Commission doing AI services in the first place. So it's because of eTranslation. And I just wanted to show you, this is a very simplistic overview how a neural machine translation system works, and basically AI in general. Inside it looks like this. And let's say you wanted to translate something. Let's say you want to translate the word dog into English from Swedish, let's say. So you input hund. And in the neural machine translation network, which is behind the translation and all other machine translation systems as well, the input layer takes the word hund in. Then there are hidden layers. This is where the work happens. And then the output layer gives you dog in English. If you would put in cat, of course, then the output would be cat, and so on. So this is how the neural network machine translation works, but it's very simplistic, but it's just to show you how, in fact, it happens. But this is true that you might have heard that more or less it's a prediction of the machine. Based on your input, it will predict that you wanted to translate dog. But about eTranslation. So this is the machine translation system of the EU institutions. It's already almost quite old. It was launched in 2017, this neural machine translation service, which was back then the newest technology for machine translation. And it's entirely developed by the European Commission together with us in the DG Translation, in the translation department. And then we have another department, which is called Connect, who also helped. But it's co-financed by the EU institutions and the Digital Europe program, which I mentioned that this program is why we are able to offer it for free also for the member states. We always recommend using eTranslation, machine translation in general, where human translation is not available, or when it's not It doesn't make sense to translate something for a human, for example, to get the rough translation. So incoming emails, reports, you just want to get an idea what the document or the email is about. It's in a language you necessarily don't speak or read. So for this, machine translation is very good because you get the idea. There will be some mistakes in it. So of course, the translation you wouldn't use in an official way, but for you, it's a perfect way to understand, and you are saving the time of the human translation. Or you can also use it, of course, to decide if human translation is needed. So if it's very high level and you understand that, okay, this document needs to be 100% correct in, let's say, Swedish, but then you can use machine translation to read the document and to decide based on that. And of course, a very big use case for eTranslation, machine translation, is to support the multilingualism on websites. But indeed, if you need a perfect quality translation, of course, you would need a professional and human translator for that. But about the translation, so we do cover 24 plus 8 languages. So 24 are all of the EU official languages, of course. But then we also have 8 additional languages because they are politically important for the Commission, but also for the member states for partnerships and so on. Russian, Chinese, Japanese, Arabic. We also have Norwegian, Icelandic, Turkish, and Ukrainian. So if you have contacts in any of those languages, EU plus those 8, eTranslation can translate it for you. This is what the user interface looks like. So we have 2 different tabs, but it will be explained a little bit later, and I think you will get sort of a demo as well. But very shortly, you can see that it looks like some other very popular machine translation systems. So you have the opportunity to translate the short text, or from, let's say, here I have French to English, but, you know, of course, all the languages, including Swedish, are, of course, supported. Or you can translate a document, so you can upload a document, you can choose the from and to language. We also have a language detection option, which means that, for example, you get the document, but you don't even know what language is it in. So, for example, I can say that for me, I don't know, Latvian, Lithuanian, Slovak, Slovene, very hard to tell apart. So you have an option for the machine to detect the correct language and then translate it into the language you wish. Also, you see here that there is an option to choose the domain, and I will very shortly explain about that. And then some other features that set us apart from, let's say, the third-party tools, Google and DeepL and so on. We have AI enhancement option for the machine translation and the glossary option, and I will explain them as well. So first is the glossary. So this new feature, it was introduced, I think it was beginning of last year or then late 2024, came from the users. They said that, you know, sometimes we have a very specific document text and some terminology just has to be like I want it to be, the user wants it to be, not as the machine, you know, predicts in the end. So we added this function. It's you can call it like forced terminology. You can upload a document, a glossary document, together with the document you wish to translate. So this works only with documents at the moment. It should have only one term in the source text and one term in the target language. So let's say English, Swedish. You cannot insert different terms based on context, unfortunately. This is a bit tricky for the neural networks. But you don't have to worry about the grammatical form. So if you have it in, the machine will take care of that. This is just an example that I have. So here I used English to French, for example. So you can see that it's really one term in English, one term in French. Of course, this can be Swedish or any of the languages you are interested in. We recommend using maximum 250 entries because after that, again, the AI will get confused. We have found out that shorter terms work better. And yes, 2 languages, as I mentioned, should be used. And then you are forcing your terminology onto the machine. So the machine gets an instruction from us in the background that, okay, if a user uploads this kind of a document, please use this terminology, not the one you think about yourself in the machine translation process. Again, it's not always 100% accurate, so you need to check it. And I will keep repeating this today. I think for all the services, the human is always in control. The human is always responsible. So please do check all the AI output because it's never 100%. And it's just a draft for you to start working, but faster. But it's not meant to be submitted as is, any of AI output. Second feature is AI enhancement. So this is a little bit like Inception, so AI on top of AI. So as I mentioned, eTranslation is the machine translation, neural machine translation system. And here we are actually using an LLM on top of the older transformer model, which means that we are currently using Mistral Nemo LLM, which is a French model. To look for fuzzy matches, as we call them in the translation industry, meaning that if somebody in the EU, for example, has translated a similar sentence in the past 30 years, LLM will go to a database, which is called Euramis, and find this for you and use it to enhance the quality of the machine translation. And I will explain this, but how it and why it enhances it is because the Euramis database contains billions of sentences in all the EU languages, and they are translated by humans. So it's not AI content where the AI is searching, but human translation, and it really makes the translation better. And this is just a example, but I see that I have speaking quite a long time ago, so I will move forward. I also promised to explain about the domain-specific translation. So we have different domains available, and behind each of the domains, you can see here on the box here, we have EU formal, we have general text, we have Court of Justice case law, finance, and then a few others. Meaning that behind each of those domains that you can choose is a different translation engine, which is trained on different data. So the output is different. So if you have an EU text, use the EU formal language. If it's just an article, general text will work better. If you have a legal text, Court of Justice case law would give you a better output. So I invite you to have a look and try different domains for better output of machine translation. And yes, everything is based on this Euramis database. This is where we take the data to train the engines. And this is why we are in the EU, in the AI business in the first place, because we have all this high quality institutional text data in all of the EU languages. This is human translations. We started this since 1996, so you can see that it's decades of translations, text, good quality text, because it's translated, checked, edited by humans. It's about 1.8 or I think close to 2 billion sentences we have there, and new sentences are being added every day. And this is actually the database we are using to train other services and models as well. And I will explain that later. And this is also why we don't need the client data. And of course, we don't look at it because we have this good quality data available from our very good colleagues, the translators. And then, as I mentioned, also websites. This is a big use case for machine translation. Here I have just an example from DG Translation, so the translation department of the Commission website, and but it's on most of the Commission's websites. You can see that you can read it in your native language, for example, Swedish in this case, and you also have small kind of disclaimers saying that this is machine translation content, so there will be errors, so that you don't think that, okay, the people in the Commission are a bit, and have false information on the websites. It notifies the person that it's indeed machine translation, but it helps them to understand the main idea, whatever we have on the Commission websites. Yeah. Also, the EU Council presidency uses eTranslation as a machine translation system on their website, so it's very high profile content. Normally, so for now it's Cyprus, and you can see normally in the corner like a word or some kind of a icon where you can choose the language, and you can read the presidency information in your language as well, on top of the official languages that are normally human translated. So it's being widely used. And good news for the member states, for you. So these are the Commission website, but we also have developed something for the external users, so public administrations, SMEs, NGOs, and so on. So there is a widget, and you can see the website here. And you can look for WebT, in internet as well. You will find the page. There is a lot of information there of how to set it up and so on and so forth. And most importantly, it's quite easy. So it does support all the main or most popular content management systems like WordPress, Joomla, WooCommerce, Magento, and so on. But there's also a universal thing. So you can actually use it to translate your websites, to machine translate your websites if you need to. And there are video tutorials and so on. So if you are interested, and normally all the development has done on our side, so you just have to get it going on your side, and you can have free machine translation on your website. So if you're interested, if you have questions, again, you can always come to us, and we will help you and guide you through the process if needed. And this is just an example in Cyprus. There is actually a small business who is using this. So I just have here like a web example that it's being used, and we have quite many small businesses or smaller institutions using this option, just to make their content multilingual and reach more people. And to finish with eTranslation, and then I will explain about the other services. If you're wondering, okay, well, it's very nice, but do people really use eTranslation? And you can see here on the graph that yes, they do. So when we started this neural machine translation system in 2017, we had about 20 million pages, 19 million pages translated. We doubled it next year, doubled it again almost the year after. Then we fell back a little bit, but this was the start of the pandemic, and then the war in Ukraine started, so you can see that we almost tripled the pages that were translated, fell back a little bit, then back up again. Then 2024 was an absolute explosion in machine translation for us. And this is all users, all use cases. So this means also people in the member states, EU staff, and so on. And we just got the statistics that, again, we broke the record last year, meaning that 891 million pages were translated with eTranslation. So it's a huge number. So it's really being used, and I invite you to take a look and to do the same. If you're interested, and I will do this fast, outside of the EU institutions on the website, so we are not talking about machine-to-machine connection, but just people in the member states going on the website and, let's say, translating something. It was about 9 million pages, so quite a lot. And you can It should be fine now. Let me know if this is not the case. I'm sorry about the technical thing. Yeah, you see here the external usage. So Germany in lead, followed by other bigger countries, Poland and so on. But you can see some smaller countries like Lithuania was surprisingly very active in using eTranslation and so on. So it's really being used, but of course, we always welcome more because we have the capabilities, as you saw, almost 900 million pages. So yes, please take a look, and if you find it suitable for you, you are very welcome to use. And yeah, top 10 just for you to see. Normally people are curious. So Germany, Poland, Bulgaria, Belgium, Austria, Spain, France, Lithuania, Slovenia, and Romania. So interesting, and I must say that last year the top 10 was totally different, so it changes year to year. Okay, so that's it for the eTranslation. And yes, so machine translation, good data, Euramis database, this is why we are in the AI business at all. And after having developed machine translation, we have such smart guys in our unit and service. So they were thinking about other ways to help colleagues because of the good data we have, and they started playing around and were interested in AI. And this is when we started developing other services. And I will very briefly give you an overview of them. And then, yeah, afterwards you will have time for questions. So we will start with eBriefing. So this is the most popular service after eTranslation in the Commission, meaning that this is a tool that we created first for the Commission and the EU institution colleagues to create briefings. But you will see if you go to the page and register and start using it, there is also a task which is called Overview, which is exactly where we had the member states in mind when we designed this. So this means that in this tool, in this service, you can upload up to 10 documents, and you will give the AI some kind of a topic, like you see here, precision farming, bioeconomy, a new strategy for European life sciences, but it can be, of course, anything. Then you upload documents. All the other services are connected to eTranslation. So, for example, if you want to create a briefing or an overview in Swedish, you can do that. You can choose it from here. So it will automatically be created in Swedish, and you don't have to switch between the tools, and you will have it ready in Swedish. And as you can see, so this helps you to helps the user to analyze documents and create some kind of either an overview or a briefing. There are 3 different tasks. So again, I invite you to take a look and see what works for you for best. Yeah. All the input that you put in here will be deleted immediately from everywhere, all the servers everywhere. The output will be available for you for 24 hours if you don't delete it before, and then it's deleted from everywhere as well. And only you can, of course, access all the briefings and other documents that you create in the user interface. So this is also important to keep in mind. And this is what the typical, let's say, briefing looks like. So, for example, let's say you are going to a meeting. You have then documents, 5 documents you need to go through fast. And then, for example, maybe you are even expected to speak at the event, give a speech or something. Then this briefing tool would give you a good overview because it has the scene setter, the objectives, main messages of those documents, Q&A, meaning that what might the people at the meeting ask you about those documents, background documents. Now we also have sound bites, tweets, and the speech. But if you choose the overview task, for example, this is just giving you an overview of the documents that you uploaded. But let's say one of them is 300 pages, another is 500. You will get a very fast, let's say, starting point or overview of the documents, so you can get acquainted with them faster and go to the meeting and be ready for questions. So It's a very much used tool, and at the moment we are using multi-prompt behind the scenes, which means we are creating each of the sections one by one, which is giving a better result rather than giving the whole prompt for the LLM to work with. Yeah, and these are the different outputs of the eBriefing tool. You see that the EU is very structured. Overview is just an overview, and then general briefing, it's less structured and less, let's say, Commission or EU-oriented structure. But also it has speech, tweets, and all the other elements in there. Then we have eReply, which is also an LLM-based service. And as the name implies, this is a service we created in order to help you draft replies. So for the staff in the Commission, we have this EP question, meaning that we have to answer parliamentary questions. So this is for our colleagues mainly, but we have other tasks. So it also has reply general, which means that, for example, and if you have a complaint coming in or maybe just an email, more complicated, again, you can use this tool to create the draft of a reply. Again, this is connected to eTranslation. So if you want to draft it in Swedish, choose Swedish here, for example, and you have it immediately. You don't have to switch between the services. Again, you can upload a document. You can upload background documents. So, and you must know that for the LLM-based services, we have told the LLM only to work with those documents and not to, think itself. So, and if it doesn't know, it will not produce something. Of course, again, with AI, it's, not always 100%, but we have very strict instructions for the model not to start producing if it's not in the documents. And again, you can see that we have 3 different tasks there. So the output is a little bit different for all of this. Sorry. Then we have a tool which is called speech to text. So again, the names are always very self-explanatory normally. So this is a service we created to turn speech into texts. And the use case here might be that, for example, let's say you are allowed to record a meeting, but it's not an online meeting. So if it's online, you can use the Teams, possibilities or Zoom or whatever. But let's say you have it in person, but you are allowed to record it. You can upload the file here. It also takes video files, for example, and you can create a transcription of the audio or video file. And also you can use this tool for subtitles, which is what we do. For example, if we create promotional videos, but we want, let's say, in addition to English, to have, French subtitles, this is the tool where you can upload it and then translate the subtitles because it will keep, as you will see in the next slide, it will keep all the timestamps, meaning that you don't have to tweak it or whatever. You just put there the French or Swedish or whatever other language, and it will be synced with the video. On the very right hand side, you will see that this is how it comes out. Just a transcript of the video or audio, and you can use AI, for example, to create minutes from this or summaries or briefings, or you can go back and forth between the services as well, is what we do in the Commission. Then we have WebText and Accessible Text, which are for now the newest additions to the LLM-based services. We introduced them February last year, so almost 1 year old. WebText is helping you to optimize text for the web. So meaning that you upload a document and it will optimize it as per our instructions. And I will explain it on the next slide for it to be easier to be read on a website. And what we have running in the background for the web text, you can see here that it's not only the prompt. The prompts are never easy; they are never short. For example, for eBriefing, it's about 20 pages long. The prompt for web text, it's a little bit less, but still, it's about 10 pages or so. And what we tell the model behind the scenes is to use everyday words, avoid jargon, idioms, complex vocabulary, using verbs instead of noun phrases, preferring active voice, using positive statements, using headings, subheadings, bullet points, making headings informative and concise, and placing keywords at the start of the sentences, because when we have documents, for example, in the Commission, but I guess it can be the case in the public administration as well. They are long, they are, very stylistically not, let's say, normal person or citizen friendly. Also, in the website, the attention span of people is not as long, so, they want the information very quick. So if you have a report or something, but you want to put it on the website, create news about it, this is a perfect tool to do it. And this is what it looks like. So here we put in the financing of a program, which was about 20 pages and came out as 2 pages for the web. And you can see that clear headlines, bullet points, very easy to grasp information, because indeed the attention span of people on the web is not as long. So if you want to get your information across in a more digestible way for the citizens. So this is the tool that will help you create the first draft. But you can see here on top of the second example right here that we always have a disclaimer on all the output documents that this has been created by AI and you should check for accuracy and so on. So this is key for all of the services I'm introducing here. Again, as I mentioned, you as a human, of course, you are in charge and should always check. Accessible text is a similar service, but this is it creates an easy to read format from a document that we upload for people with learning disabilities. But it can also be that maybe you want to put out some information in a language that is not the reader's first language. So, for example, I don't know if you want to put it out in Swedish, but they are not yet mastering the Swedish. So it needs to be very easy for them to understand, but it will still be, let's say, in Swedish or English or, whatever language you choose to use. So here we have prompted the model to explain difficult words in easy terms, use UK English we have here. So this is at the moment available only in three languages. But other EU languages are coming, because we are at the moment with all the colleagues from the translation department and the native speakers fine-tuning the prompts. So very soon, for example, Swedish will also be supported. And as you can see, not use words like voila and other things like this. And you see here that again the same 20-page work program that we put through the service came out as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 paragraphs. So more or less 1 A4 page with very concise and easy to read and understand the information, like short sentences, what's really important from the document. So can be for people with learning disabilities or people where the native tongue is not the one you are putting the information out, in this case, English, for example. Then we have a service which is called Anonymisation. Again, you can already imagine, I think, what it does. So this is a service we created to either obfuscate or replace sensitive information in a document to make it not recognizable, to make it anonymized. You can see here the difference between the two tasks that you can choose. So we had a colleague of mine who had the minutes of a meeting. If you choose replacement, it will replace the sensitive information like dates, places, names, institutions, and so on. It will replace them with some other made-up information. So this meeting is not recognizable anymore to Agnes, but it's changed to Peter. Brussels became Paris, and 2019 became 2015, and so on. Or, which is more common, you can have black boxes on top of the sensitive information. So again, use case being that if you need to send a document somewhere, but it has sensitive information, names, and so on, you can use this tool to send it, to make it anonym. But again, it's an online tool, so no very top secret documents should be inputted here. But for example, CVs or other documents where names are in are fine. But again, AI, and you should always check because it does make mistakes. Then eSummary is also something that we have. Again, you can also already, I think, get the idea what the service does. So it's to create summaries from longer documents. Again, this is connected to eTranslation, meaning that you can ask for the summary to be, it doesn't have to be in the same language that the document is in. It can be in multiple languages at once, even if you wish to do so. And you have 3 options, so short, standard, or long, meaning that it will be either maximum 10, 20, or 30% of the original document, the summary. So if you choose long, it's maximum 30% of the original length of the document. And here I have a recommendation that, for example, you are going to a meeting, you have a very long document, maybe don't ask for a short summary because it can leave some information out. Or if you have a very short document, even if it's 2 pages, but you have, I don't know, 1 minute to prepare, you want to get the summary here and now, you should not ask for a long summary because then it will just give you the document itself back, basically. Both anonymization and eSummary are still not based on an LLM. They are transformer model based, which is an older technology, but they will be put on an LLM very soon this year, as soon as we have the EU institution and LLM ready. And yeah, this is the output of eSummary. And on the right-hand side, you will see that when the new version is out, it will have more structure. You have an abstract, keywords, main topics, conclusions, action points, and so on. So for now, it's just a summary, but it will be more structured when we use the LLM to create it. And yeah, this brings it almost to the end of my part. I know I have been talking long and a lot of information. I just wanted to touch upon the next things that are coming from us. So e-reporting being the very first one and very, very soon. So 2nd of February, so in a few weeks, we will launch a new service, which is called e-reporting. Again, it will be task-specific, LLM-based, prompted by us and so on, which will be a tool to help create activity reports and reporting obligations. And here with this tool, we really had the people in the member states in mind. This is where the idea came from, because we know that a lot of institutions and organizations have to report to us, to the Commission, for example, and it's very hard to sometimes understand what and where. So this tool will help them to identify the reporting obligations or activity reports. These are important across the board in the Commission, in the institutions, but also in the organizations, even SMEs, NGOs. We all have to report, on our annual activities or monthly or whatever. So this is a tool that will help you to draft the first draft of a report or a reporting obligations document. So it's ready and it's coming out in a few weeks. So again, I invite you to take a look when it's out, and I hope you find it useful. Again, you can upload 10 documents. It's connected to eTranslation. So again, you can ask for the report or the obligations document to be in Swedish, for example. And this is just an example how it will look like for the reporting obligations, for example. So it brings out the directives and everything that you need to know in order to report. And then, as a very last thing, I will...
Sorry, Kristiina.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that you now have a headline which includes the word LLM, and we had one question, which is what is LLM? So
Okay.
maybe we can maybe we can just take that now.
Okay, very good. Very nice time to put it in. Thanks for inserting it in a very logical way. Yes, so an LLM, yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mention it before, is a large language model. So this is the new technology that is behind, for example, ChatGPT. Of course, I think everybody here knows about that, meaning that it's a very large amount of data, which has been used on a neural network again and this is what I had in the very first, on some of the very first slides with the dog and the cat. So it's a network of little, let's say, computer units or programs that think, and then they pass on the information to the next little, as we call them, neurons, and so on and so forth. So it's meant to a little bit mimic the human brain. And all those little parts together, they will output something. And a large language model, it's normally trained on huge amounts of data, and you do need a lot of data to train them in order to get good feedback. This in itself could be another presentation of a few hours, how they exactly work, and it's very complicated, but it's a large language model behind ChatGPT, for example, but also behind eBriefing, eReply, the services I mentioned here, which means that we train the model with large amounts of data. And you, when you input something and ask for, let's say, for a briefing, the model understands that, okay, this person needs a briefing. You also need a prompt behind. So this is why, for example, when you go to ChatGPT and you say that, okay, give me a briefing, it will never give you the exact briefing that you need because it doesn't know. It hasn't seen the data. It only knows what it has seen in the training data. So the huge amount of data, billions and billions of sentences need to be put in order for it to predict actually what you need. So this is the work we have done. And here on the slide, you see that, so at the moment, we are also using GPT-4 and soon GPT-5 models, large language models from OpenAI, so the same ones that are behind ChatGPT, but they are in a controlled European Union environment, meaning everything I spoke about in the beginning, so no data is being shared with the American company. It's behind our data centers and firewalls, and it's in Europe, in Stockholm, Paris, and I think Amsterdam, and so on and so forth. So, but now we are working on a European and EU institutional LLM. So we want to, break free from America as well, for which we didn't start from the beginning. We took the French model Mixtral, and as I mentioned, with the Aramis database, where we have the EU institutional human created very good quality data, because you know that when we train models, for example, if we use open source data, we normally keep 10% of the data to train the models because the rest of it's bad. And the saying that chunk in, chunk out, and this is very true for the large language models, meaning that if you have bad data, the output of the model, whatever it is, it's also bad. But we have good data, so we have taken the French model, the European Union data, and you can see on the right-hand side, we have in Europe the supercomputer network. On the picture here below, we have Meluxina. So this is a supercomputer which is in Luxembourg, where we started training the model. Then we have Leonardo here on the slide, which is in Bologna, Italy. And actually now we are about to move to Mare Nostrum, which is in Barcelona, I think, in Spain. So all of this training with the large language models and the huge amount of data needs very much computing power, and we don't have that, but these supercomputers do. And in Europe, we have a very nice network. Actually, some of them, I think Mare Nostrum and Leonardo both are in the top 10 supercomputers in the world. So they are very competitive. and we can use them so to train the models. And yes, what we want to bring out is a multilingual EU trained LLM, large language model, for example, to first of all enhance underrepresented languages, because as you know, for the Commission, it's very important that all the languages are treated equally, not only English, Spanish, French and German. It's going to be open source, so we will open source it for other, public administration and institutions in the EU to use. It's going to be European, yes, trained in Europe, and we want to set an example for the public sector. This as well is more or less ready and will come out this year. And then when it does, and when it's good enough, we will move eSummary, anonymisation, and then maybe some other services to the EU LLM. And when it's really good enough, then all the others will follow. So this is what we are working on. And to finish, and I know I took a little bit more time, we also have resources on the website that I showed you in the first place. So this is the link to get there. And you will see if you scroll down, there are even video guides and help files and the developer's corner. So if you are interested in integrating these into your systems, this is doable. It will still be free, and everything will be safe as well, but just integrated into your existing systems. All the information, technical information is there as well. You can see WebT is also there, so you will find a lot of information. Yeah, with videos, how to use the tools and so on, if you need them. And with this, I say thank you. I know I spoke for a long time. This is the mail address where you can always send us questions, feedback. Feedback is very important, because if you see something wrong, we very much welcome it, because we are doing this for the users, not just for the sake of doing it. So if you see some issues, problems, errors, or good feedback as well, always very welcome, and questions, of course. So thank you, Tuck, and I give the floor now back to my colleagues.
Yes, thank you very much, Kristiina. Tack så mycket. Nu har vi kommit över till nästa punkt i programmet, som innebär att det är jag som kommer att dela skärm för att kunna visa er lite hur man använder de här och lite vilken typ av output man kan förvänta sig. Vi ska se, ja just det, jag är van vid sådana här program där man kan dela bara en del av skärmen, men nu, ja, här kan jag göra det här. Nu ska jag dela den här, så. Nu ska vi se om ni har kommit upp någonting här. Och så väntar vi på att den tar sig så långt upp som möjligt så att det inte syns någonting i vägen. Ja, som sagt, vi började ju med att prata om eTranslation ganska länge, som är lite grunden för alla de här verktygen på sätt och vis. Jag tänkte visa lite hur det ser ut i interface, med det har ni sett, men jag tänkte också bara gå igenom lite kort det som man kan göra. Nu har jag gjort den här så att den är på svenska. Det kan man alltså välja här vid sidan vilket språk man vill ha. Det finns en del andra inställningar som man kan göra. Om man går till mina inställningar så kan man välja standardkällspråk om man till exempel nästan alltid arbetar med samma språk. Och då finns det här för dokument, men det finns också för fri text, så om man bara matar in text i rutan. Om det oftast är det man använder, till exempel om vi säger att vi använder engelska för det för det mesta, och sen så är det likadant när vi använder dokument, men vi vill också bara att den ska veta det. Den har också förmåga att känna igen själv om man inte vet, för att som Kristiina nämnde så finns det ju en del språk som kan vara ganska snarlika för en enskild användare att känna igen vilket språk det är. Det kan ju vara att man inte ens vet, men att man kanske vet att det är antingen tjeckiska eller slovakiska, det skulle vara speciella fall. Så det finns då de här olika alternativen där man ser då antingen att översätta text eller översätta dokument. Och som Kristiina var inne på också, så får vi välja lite olika texttyper, vilket påverkar lite om vilket översättningsresultat det är. EU Formal Language är kanske det vi använder mer för våra lagstiftningstexter. General Text är kanske då mer om vi använder oss om vi vill göra pressmeddelanden. Men sen har vi ju då andra domäner här som kanske om man ägnar sig åt finansiella texter eller juridiska texter så kanske man har bättre resultat om man använder dem. Det kan man testa sig fram. Jag tänkte börja med då att ha en text som jag översätter lite från. Det här är ett pressmeddelande på franska. Så om vi till exempel tar den här, de här 2 styckena. När man matar in text i det här programmet så är det lättast att inte ta för mycket åt gången. Det finns uppåt 2500 tecken som man kan få in. Nu har jag 992. Och den kände igen att det var franska. Och så kan man välja då om man vill ha den mailad eller om man vill bara ha om man inte skriver att den ska mailas så kommer man bara få ett mail där det säger att den finns att ladda ner. Och sen när den har gjort översättningen så kommer den visas vid sidan om. Det kan ibland ta en liten stund, så för att inte det ska ta tid så visar jag faktiskt resultatet på ett annat ställe här. Det här är då när jag gjorde den översättningen av precis samma stycke, så ser vi hur det har blivit. Man kan ju tänka rent språkligt att den är påverkad i någon mån kanske av strukturen i källspråket, att det var en fransk text. Den har kanske den är lite vänstertung i den här meningen. Det blir liksom ett långt segment som är liksom vad man kallar fundament inom översättning, men det är alltså ett ganska en ganska lång inledande fras innan man kommer till liksom finita verbet, vilket är lite annorlunda från hur man i regel brukar skriva på svenska, så det kan man notera att det kan ha haft en viss påverkan på källspråket. Men i övrigt så är resultatet fullt användbart för att gå igenom och jobba vidare med. Det blev något fel just den här gången, så att det var bra att jag hade gjort det i förväg. Och för nästa del så ska vi se. Ja, precis. Ja. Som vi nämnde då, man har general text, men man har ju flera alternativ. Och vissa alternativ finns då inte med på general text, som det här som Kristiina visade när det gällde att använda en glossa eller då en termlista. Den är tillgänglig på EU Formal Language, så ser man att det dyker upp en liten ruta här där man då kan släppa in fil med, man rekommenderar då max 250 termer som man vill använda. Normalt så kommer ju, när man laddar upp dokument där, så kan man välja om det ska komma i samma format som källtexten, till exempel Word eller PDF, eller om det ska komma i ett annat format. XLIF är ju den tvåspråkiga filen som översättare ofta använder, men vi som översättare använder ofta också TMX, alltså översättningsminnen, som ju sen då kan konverteras till de översättningsminnesformat som används i våra så kallade CAT-verktyg, det vill säga de här verktygen som man använder för att när man arbetar med översättning och framförallt vill hämta minnen från tidigare översättningar som man kan jämföra med. Så vill man få in detta då i ett CAT-verktyg så är det företrädesvis TMX som man använder. Så det är det. Och sen så när man har då fått det här gjort och den har blivit klar, så kommer det dyka upp en liten symbol här, som en grön symbol som visar att den ligger kvar. Som till exempel här ser vi då att jag har översatt ett pressmeddelande. Så då är det bara att klicka och ladda ner. Så har man det. Så nästa del är att jag tänkte gå in och visa, ska vi se. Man kanske också vill veta hur man kommer tillbaka till huvudmenyn när man är här. Och när du är nu här i eTranslation, och så om du inte har fliken öppen så kan du välja här eTranslation Language Tools, och då kommer du till den här huvudsidan för de olika verktygen eller tjänsterna. Om vi då väljer eBriefing så ser vi här till exempel att då är det ett annat minne här när det gäller vilka texter som finns, My Drafts i det här fallet. Och det är gemensamt för eReply, WebText och Accessible Text, så de hamnar på samma ställe. Man kan återigen gå in och liksom anpassa, man kan välja att ha det här gränssnittet på svenskan. Och så kan vi se då mina utkast som kommer hamna där, och apropå det här att vi inte lagrar dem längre än nödvändigt, så ser vi att nu har jag gjort några senaste 24 timmarna, då ligger de fortfarande så att jag kan ladda ner dem, men det kan jag inte göra med sådana som finns sedan tidigare, utan det syns att det står att den inte längre är tillgänglig. Det vill säga den lagras inte längre än tiden så. Det kan man också välja. Man kan också välja att den ska vad heter det, raderas direkt efter att man har laddat ner. Det finns som ett alternativ till exempel i eBriefing här då. Eller åtminstone så finns det i eTranslation. Jag ska inte säga, jag pratar för snabbt nu. Men det finns ju då olika de här förmågorna som man kan göra. Olika tjänsterna inom eBriefing. Det är dels Overview. Overview är ju det som helt enkelt du kan få en överblick, och du kan få den inriktad på olika ämnen inom området inom de dokument som du laddat ner. Briefing då, om vi tittar på det. Ska vi se. Om vi tar, här har vi en skriftlig fråga till ett statsråd som jag skulle använda mig av för att demonstrera. Den har jag laddat in, och sen så var det så att den handlade om ställföreträdarskap, det vill säga förmyndare och överförmyndare och lite sådana frågor. Och då kom det en proposition nu innan, strax före jul, som jag då la in här, och som ett svar på frågan här då, den handlar om att Justitieombudsmannen har gjort en framställning om regler kring överförmyndares och tingsrätters handläggning av förvaltarskapsfrågor, och den har visserligen besvarats, men nu kanske man kan få ett lite mer ytterligare svar eftersom det har kommit förslag på lagstiftning då. Och då kan man se till exempel och då valde jag att lägga in då begärda ämnen, lagändringar som föreslås. Och då kom det fram det här då, där den berättar om vilka reformer som faktiskt föreslås på det området som det rör sig om. Och det är inte så, de har ju liksom tagit direkta citat här, att de pratar om att alltså det står i propositionen att man tidigare pratade om bevaka rätt, förvalta egendom och sörja för person, som man då har går in på modernare begrepp som ekonomiska och personliga angelägenheter. Så det innebär att man märker att den hämtar information från den här som den då sammanfattar. Så det här Overview kan användas som ett sammanfattande redskap. Om man då går in på ett annat resultat som vi fick från Reply, då var det också återigen den här skriftliga frågan till justitieministern om lagändringar som föreslagits av JO. Och i förslaget till svar då så kan man ju märka utifrån att de data som jag har lagt in för det här, och det är ju bland annat då den här SOUn som hade gjorts av statens offentliga utredningar, men också om jag minns det rätt så la jag in lagförslaget också. Så används ju detta så för att ge ett svar som man kan liksom jobba vidare på, en början till det. Så lite beroende på vad man lägger in för data, så blir det olika. Exakt här kan vi säga att den faktiskt nämner ju den här SOUn, och den nämner där tillhörande lagstiftningsförslag. Just det var det som var skillnaden, för i den första versionen jag visade så hade jag inte lagt in det här som bakgrundsunderlag då för svaret. Men nu vet ju då språkmodellen att man ska utgå från de här dokumenten. Man kan ju markera här i blått har jag gjort den konstitutionella kommittén. Det är ju fel terminologiskt sett. Det heter ju konstitutionsutskottet. Och det har ju väl lite att göra med att jag tror att mycket av den här behandlingen sker på engelska. Så att även om jag lägger in svensk, så att säga, eh, vad heter det, källmaterial och att jag även vill ha det tillbaka till svenska, så får man vara uppmärksammad på att det kan bli liksom fel i vissa terminologier när det har gått fram och tillbaka mellan språk då, som i det här fallet. Nu har vi ett annat möjligt svar då. Och det här är då när man inte använder overview utan att vi använder briefing general. Och det är lite mer uppdelat i olika delar som har då, som Kristiina förklarade, behandlats separat. Så det är multipromptat så att säga. Så det här är ju då att den har en del som ger liksom bakgrund. Och i det här fallet så var det frågan om ett remissvar från olika instanser, och man då ska se vad som skiljer mellan olika utredningar och de remissvar som kommer, så den ger lite olika alternativ där. Jag ska inte dra för länge med olika möjligheter här, men jag vill ändå visa att man ju kan använda helt andra språk också. Som att i det här fallet har jag haft en ungersk inmatningstext. Det är alltså ett dokument, det är en gammal förordning som handlar om livsmedelssäkerhet från 2002. Men den kan man ju då mata in, och sen kan man ändå få output på svenska när vi begär om vi begär till exempel ett ämne som är konsekvenser för livsmedelssäkerheten i Europa. Och nu har jag bara haft det här dokumentet, men jag vill liksom, det är en lång förordning, jag vill veta vad den handlar om, och så går den här då in på vad är det för Europeiska myndigheten för livsmedelssäkerhet ägnar sig åt, och så där, och så vad är syfte och mål, och så kommer man då till den här som vi nämnde, frågor och svar, det vill säga hur kan man se till att man kan ha svar på eventuella frågor som kan dyka upp då. Och då har den ett exempel hur säkerställer EFSA att dess vetenskapliga yttrande får bli oberoende och fria för yttre påverkan, och sen så står det hur de arbetar med dessa frågor. Och så det är ett ganska omfattande material, men det är klart att det måste ju sållas i och användas med förnuft. Men mycket av de här som Kristiina också sa, det är ju ett sätt att ha ganska användbart sammanfattningsmaterial att gå vidare på, lite beroende på olika behov. Så den här briefing har ju liksom massa olika delar beroende på vad är det man ska göra. Behöver man liksom tala själv, eller ska man bara kunna svara på frågor, eller vad är det frågan om? Men jag tänkte också visa hur det kan se ut när man har den här webbtexttjänsten. Vi kan gå tillbaka så ni ser var de här finns. Webbtext ligger ju här, och den kan man använda för att få webbanpassad text på svenska. Och i det här fallet så valde jag att ta lagen om riksdagens ombudsmän, som då kom från 2023 och som omnämndes i den här skriftliga frågan. Och tänkte att om man bara använder den och vill ha en liten webbvänlig sammanfattning, så pratar den lite här med olika rubriker. Det är viktigt också för sökoptimering att man har olika rubriker. Och så går den igenom i liksom punktform olika delar av den här lagen och vad den i huvudsak handlar om. Så det är en ganska bra utgångspunkt när man vill skriva webbmaterial. Slutligen då tänkte jag att jag skulle visa även den här delen som heter Accessible Text. Och den finns ju, som Kristiina sa, för närvarande bara på engelska, franska och tyska, men vi arbetar för att den ska finnas på andra språk också. Och här har jag valt då ett pressmeddelande som kom idag, som än så länge finns på engelska, men det finns inte översatt till svenska. Men hur som helst, så i och med att jag vill visa funktionen hur den arbetar med Accessible Text, jag tror att ni kommer känna igen språktypen lite grann från kanske det som vi kallar klartext i Sverige. Så det är väldigt enkla förklarande meningar om vad är det som står i det här. Och det är ju tänkt att det ska hjälpa de som behöver arbeta med den här typen av klartext eller tillgängligt språk så att säga. Jag stoppar där, men jag kommer kunna gå tillbaka och visa någonting annat om det uppstår anledning till det beroende på vilka frågor vi har nu. Så nu går vi över till att ta hand om de olika frågorna som vi har. I will start with one question which is directed towards Kristiina, and the question was whether you will share the presentation after the webinar.
Yes, of course. Right after we finish, I will send it to Johan, and maybe you then can distribute it via the appropriate channels, let's say. But of course, so you have all the information there, all the links, and you can go over it at your own pace, take a look, because I know it was quite condensed and, you know, a lot of information to take in. So yes, we will share, and we will have them.
To add to that, in time, we will also have the entire video presentation with all the examples, and also this questions and answers section will be available on the Translating for Europe YouTube channel, which is the channel of the communication unit here at DGT, which is the short abbreviation of our Directorate-General for Translation. So there is a comment from Anu, who has registered and logged in but doesn't seem to have access to the services. I wonder, Anu, if you go back to the page as written before, and after you did your EU login registration, did you also log into or register for the services?
Yeah, excuse me. Anu wrote in the chat that it's working now.
Okay. Oh, I see. Good.
Fine.
Good.
Don't worry. We have these questions quite a lot daily. We know that it's a bit confusing, the two steps, and maybe not very intuitive, but this is for security reasons. So yeah, but it's good that you managed to get in.
Okay. Yeah, sometimes it's an extra refresh that needs to be done or something like that when you have done both sides of the registration, so to speak. And here is a quite technical question from Hampus, and this is: are you hosting GPT-4 and GPT-5 on your own hardware, or is it still controlled by OpenAI?
Yes, a very good question. Thank you. So all of our services, except for eTranslation, were and are cloud-based. So they are on the cloud. eTranslation is also moving to the cloud. When you go to the page, you will see that we have old and new. So the only difference being old is in the commission data centers. New will be 100% cloud as well. And this is important because the data centers were actually slowing us down. So everything is on the clouds, but of course the commission has very strict rules what happens in the cloud, and we have our own space, meaning that according to the cloud 2 and 3 agreements that we have, of course OpenAI is not looking what we do there. And the GPT-4 and 5 models are not connected to OpenAI. So they are on our cloud space, controlled by us. But as you know, and this is why we don't put in restricted documents because it's still internet and so on.
So I will just read a comment here. Perhaps I was not able to grasp all the information about the tool WebText that makes the content in a web page more accessible to the readers. My question is, can WebText distinguish terms, terminology from common language? And she asks this because the terms should normally not be changed or simplified. So does WebText usually simplify terminology?
Yes, I took a look while you were speaking and showing the tools, and I actually copied the prompt, the part of the prompt into the chat, and then I saw that it's also in the Q&A. But indeed, we ask the model to simplify, and then in the chat she had a follow-up question. So does it keep the terms but explain them? So in theory, yes. We have instructed it to mention the term at least, once and then explain it. In theory, again, AI is never 100% correct, so you must check. But this is what we have instructed it to do. I did a small test, and for example, for some of our own documents and rules about AI, and I see that I don't know if they are technical enough terms, but it has kept indeed the terms. But then explain them if necessary. So answer yes in theory, but please check.
Yeah. Good. Moving on. There is a question, or actually, because I think Maria, who asked this question, raised her hands. I don't know if you would like to add something. I don't know if we can prompt her to use her microphone. If that is the case. If not, if so, she can have a possibility to add this any further comment as soon as possible. And I will start by, oh, it was a mistake. I'm sorry about that. So that she is good with the answers.
And then
so
there was a question in the chat in Swedish. So
yes, I was going to go to that.
Yes,
it's the one about the IATE, which is wondering whether IATE can be used as a terminological resource in these services.
So with the help of eTranslation, I gave a very short answer. So since we are using the Euramis database to train the models of eTranslation, the IATE terminology should be used by our translator, our colleagues. So, in theory, again, IATE terminology is in the Euramis database. And since we use the Euramis database, it should be included, or it is included in the training of the machine translation engines. But it's not connected in a way that, when you try to machine translate something, we go back and check each term in IATE. This would not be technically possible. So if the translators, the humans, have been good and using the correct terminology in the texts that we use to train, then yes. If not, then of course it's not there. But for you to know that if you wish to use the glossary function, you can use IATE to create your own terminology term base or a small file, but it has to be done by you. So yes, you can use IATE, but it's not something that comes automatically or so on. But in that sense, it's in there, and you can yourself input it to the machine. So then the machine really knows that, okay, these are the terms I must use.
We also have another question surrounding the firewall. If it happens, because some public administrations, they have their own firewall, and they wonder if it ever happens that these can cause problems when it comes to using our services.
Normally no, but if it does, we have had some questions from some public administration institutions. I'm not sure if from Sweden, but I know that Germany and also the Nordics are very strict on the security and the things. So we have had some of the questions. But you can then contact us and we will guide you through. There are some steps you can do and so on, but you can always access the services because these are not meant to be. If it's somehow very, very restricted in your institution network and laptop and so on, well, then you have to take it up with your IT department. But normally we are able to help you. So if you have that kind of an issue, you can send us an email and then we will guide you through. We have a small team answering emails. You will get a relatively fast reply.
I think we have one question which I don't think we have covered in our presentation, because if you say, for example, you have a document which contains 2 languages or perhaps even more, is it possible for eTranslation to understand it and translate just to one other language? So multi-language source documents.
Well, normally it's trained to only understand one. Also, for example, if you choose the source language, let's say you say it, okay, this is in French, but you have, I don't know, Spanish also in there, then the model normally keeps the Spanish as is. And this is also something we get. So then we recommend having it in one language and then translating it. Sometimes it can still do it, and specifically when you use the detect a language button. So it can be that it's still translated, but mostly it leaves the other language untranslated. Because in the very beginning, when you click the button translate or whatever, create the briefing, the same thing. There is a detect language, let's say workflow, which is determined on the start of the document. And if you have the other language later in the document, the model wouldn't know it because it doesn't do this for each segment, let's say.
I also wanted to say, because while I was doing my demonstration, I didn't get to speech to text, which is a little bit tricky to sort of demonstrate online. But I was thinking about the use case, which is probably might be relevant for some. It's like, for example, if you use speech to text with the source text in a language that you do not understand, and you get a transcription in that language, I would suppose. And then after that, you have a document in text, and if you want to have that translated, then you can add this as a document in eTranslation, for example. So you can combine the services sometimes to do some specific use cases like that, where one service will help with one part of the task and another one with another part of the task, for example.
Indeed, so that's a very good tip. Indeed.
Yeah.
And actually for speech to text, again, this comes from the users. As I mentioned, all feedback is always very welcome because we actually take it into consideration and use it to improve the services or create new ones. Speech to text will be integrated as well with the translation. So that means that actually at some point you will be able to do it like you can in, for example, in eBriefing, so that you upload something, but you ask for the output to be, I don't know, Swedish. So this is coming. So, and then you can even skip going between the services. For now, you have to do it, but it will change as well in order to make it simpler.
Yeah, that sounds good. And are speech to text available also for the non-EU languages?
Yes, in speech to text, we have a little bit less languages supported. If I'm correct, the current number should be 29. From the EU languages, we are currently missing Latvian and Irish. I'm just double checking that it should be the case. This is only because in these 2 languages, we had the most trouble of getting good, reliable data to train the models. So for speech to text, it's something that is called Whisper, is the base model. It's an open source model, and then we train it with our EU and open source at some point data. So we find good quality data, and yeah, unfortunately, Latvian and Irish were harder. I know that Latvian model is already trained, so it should come out relatively soon. And then we will work on Irish. And then we have a few other languages there as well. And so, for example, we have Arabic, we do have Japanese, Norwegian is there, and Russian and Turkish, Ukrainian, and Chinese. So a little bit less than eTranslation, but 29, so a good number as well.
Good. Okay, I think it's starting to be time to wrap up. There is still a possibility if there is a small, minor still question that anyone might have. But before I forget, when you close the webinar, it should be appearing a survey, which we would very much like you to fill in. I think it would be maybe more relevant to fill it in straight away, because you can then have your experience of the presentations fresh in your mind. So we hope that we get many answers this way. We might be sending you it by email as well, in case it seems that we are not getting so many answers this way, but I think it will be useful for you to be able to answer these questions straight after the webinar. And is there anything else you would like to add? Yes.
There is one question from Annika at 11:02, but it's in Swedish and I couldn't copy it. So
I understand. We did cover that. This was about the firewalls, internal firewalls of the different institutions.
Yes.
So yes, if there there is a problem with that, you said that you would be able to help in many cases, let's say. All right. So then by that I will say thank you all for listening. I'm very happy that so many of you wanted to join us, and that you stayed with us, many of you, the whole time, so we could answer everyone's questions. Special thanks for waiting patiently for those who answered questions in the very beginning. But as we had a chat function as well, some of them would be answered over time, as we went along. But yes, it's always good to have longer questions towards the end. And thank you for all your comments that are coming in, and I hope that you will also share all your feedback with us through the surveys, which will help us for our future webinars that we might host, or in-person events. And this feedback will mostly cover webinars, but we're especially delighted to hear about what you think. So thank you very much, Kristiina, for the very thorough presentation and for helping us answer all the questions. And thank you as well, Uda, for helping us with the technical part. It's always good to be able to have someone who handles the things like that while you are speaking yourself. And we see that she is with us as well. Good. Okay, and have a very nice day, everyone. Oh yes, it's good. I saw this term as well, which Gabriella, who works with Clear Language in Sweden, I mentioned the word klartext when I talk about the accessible text, but the Swedish term for that is lättläst, so it means easy to read. So this means that's what we call this type of text, which, as you saw from the accessible text, which was very sort of easy to understand. It's called lättläst. Thank you, Gabriella, for reminding me. I was going to mention that. Good. Okay. Thank you, everyone, and hopefully see you another time. Bye bye.